we get an appearance from the baseball.
The baseball. Yeah.
I love that.
Which I actually wrote down in my notes that I thought was Odo. I thought Odo was disguised as this baseball.
Oh, that's a good one.
So I thought it would have been great that he's saying, I wonder where these guys are, and he's literally holding them in his hands.
Why is this baseball warm?
Yeah, right. So that was one thing. The other thing I thought was cool was the battleship fighting scenes. So when Kira and Dax are in that thing, they actually run into some ships that are trying to take them out, and they actually get grounded by one of them. But the actual scenes of the fighting where they were lining up and she was making these evasive maneuvers to get behind the ships, I felt a lot of action in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And it was good to see how they said they were going to lower into the atmosphere. They couldn't use their ion engines or ion weapons.
Something.
Which is okay, which is great. I just felt that it was good that they had that kind of element of action into it, because it made it, I'm sure there's a budget for all those special effects. They're on an Earth-like scene, so it was pretty good. I thought that was entertaining. I also thought it was entertaining when the whole way they tied in the exposition of revealing the evidence. We're gonna bring the evidence to the Bajoran provisional government, slap it on the table, and ruin their plans.
Yeah, I mean, there's usually a pretty, I don't want to see a simple solution, but there's usually a very clear solution in Star Trek. They say, all we have to do is just reveal the thing to the person and the episode will be over. Especially in something that's like a 3-parter. In the singular episodes, there's usually like some kind of twist. And the twist is what feeds into the solution or something like that. Whereas this one, they didn't so much need the twist because there was just a ton of buildup, and I was happy for it. I was glad that they kept the solution simple, because then we don't have to spend as much time on exposition and we can just enjoy like all the separate missions and everybody doing their own thing. Like, I really like that about Star Trek, is when groups pair off, like you have Dax and Kira over here. You had Quark and Bashir locked up in their thing. You had Cisco and Chief, in their little sector. And by the way, when Cisco and Chief were enjoying their rations in their little closet or whatever, that's when Cisco says, a French onion soup would have been really nice.
Oh, that's where it comes in.
Yeah. And I agreed with him.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really well done. This Vedic who wants to become Kai.
Vedic Wynn?
Vedic Wynn, is that her name?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, that's her name, right? Vedic Wynn, the one who wants to, she's, working behind the scenes to become the Kai.
Yeah, she'll be Kai Wynn later.
She will become Kai eventually, right? Mm-hmm. She's just so manipulative and disgusting in her ways. Like, she turned so quickly. Like, you wouldn't have a problem with examining the evidence, then, would you? And I'm like, a second ago, you were over here planning your victory party. And now you're switching over because you see the tide is turning, and you switch over on this side and throw that guy under the bus. I thought she's one of the most unscrupulous characters in our show. I would say she's several tiers down below Quark.
And below Keiko.
Below Keiko, yes, exactly.
Speaking of which, also, the little tease at the beginning of our episode is Bashir telling your mother joke, and do you remember that? I kind of had to rewind and watch again because Bashir,
what was the joke now?
Bashir said something to Quark. They're having their little banter in their little closet or Jeffrey's tube or whatever, and fending off the voles for the Star Trek fans. Those are little rodent, Cardassian rodents. And I don't remember what Bashir said to Quark, but Quark says, "Who told you that?" And Bashir says, "Your mother did the day you were born." I was like, what the?
Yo mama joke. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
And then Quark gets like extremely mad.
Yeah.
Like,
and all the middle schoolers and 10-year-olds were like, ooh.
Yeah, that was interesting to say the least. A little slightly out of place. You never talk about my mother. But I guess it was it was to highlight that they were having this miserable time in this confined space. I thought it was funny when Bashir breaks the paneling open from the aqueducts area where he's hiding, and he pulls out his phaser and surrounds the Bajorans that were trying to take over the ship. He messages over to Commander Sisko, and he really casually sits there with like almost with his legs crossed, drinking martini, like, "Dude, we've got him. We've got him all. It's all taken care of. Don't worry." I'm like, you're sitting in an air vent, acting all real calm and nonchalant about it. I thought that was kind of funny.
We got to have Sid on the show sometime. I've never met him.
Well, he's a hard guy to keep up with. He's always jet setting around the world, but
he was on Game of Thrones. He's still working. He's doing well for himself.
He is. He is. I remember the first time I saw him afterwards on a big movie was that Syriana movie that he did with George Clooney.
Yeah, I don't know it.
Oh, he plays the main villain in Syriana, which was this, movie with George Clooney. And I went to go see him, and here he is. Like,
no way, that's so cool. So
I was like, whoa, Sid's in this movie. He played a villain. Yeah, a very good villain, as a matter of fact.
It wasn't like that first season episode where he was inhabited by this villain's spirit.
No, it was much better. It was much better than that. It was really good villain work. Sophisticated villain. I think he's playing like a Middle East guy, terrorist type of guy. Clooney is going after him. It's really good. It's an opportunity. He's opposite Clooney in a major motion picture. So I was really happy to see that, and it was good.
So sorry to sidetrack us there, but we do like Bashir quite a bit.
No, I like Bashir. I do like him. I just thought that this episode had a lot of action in it. It just kept me from one scene to another. I never got stuck in a scene too long. There wasn't too much, long drawn out dialogue where it was unintelligible or not easy to understand.
Or like the exposition, 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
The only exposition I saw really obvious exposition was with Kira and Dax. Every time Dax would ask a question, it was just for exposition. It would be like, so you're telling me that we're just going to avoid these Bajorans by giving them a fake signal? When she was reading those lines, she was probably like, do you even need me here, guys?
Yeah, it gets sometimes it could be too much, but this one wasn't. Who directed this episode? I don't think we talked about it.
It was Rick Colby. So Rick Colby.
Rick Colby, yeah. And this would be now is like second or third, I think, so far as we've been watching along. And I thought Rick did a good job. I mean, like I said, the pace was great. And from beginning to end, I just thought everybody played their role, including this Bajoran war hero that they started this whole thing trying to rescue out of the camp, right? And the whole thing really revolved around Leonidas, what we call him, right?
I even call him Leonidas in my notes.
Right, I know, and I haven't changed, so I'm just going to stick with Leonidas. But I thought Leonidas actually had his moment in this episode too. We didn't really talk about it much, but Leonidas had a chance where he was able to have his rallying speech to the Bajorans. He stood up to the plate. Now we actually got to see why he was a rebel leader, because he was shying away from that responsibility so far in these opening 2 episodes. He was the reluctant hero, you know. And in this moment, he became the actual hero, which is another arc for this particular character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going from the guy who's like, no, don't praise me, I didn't do anything special, to jumping in front of a bullet and taking a bullet for somebody, right?
Yeah, he fulfilled his destiny.
He fulfilled his destiny as a martyr, and I thought he wore it well. He stood up, and he became courageous when it mattered. I thought that was a good thing for him and his character.
I agree. I mean, and it fits. That's another Star Trek trope of, the guy that wants to die, or the guy that says, I'm not the hero or whatever. And then at the end, he does die, or he does become the hero. Like, for example, in Duet, the Cardassian guy that wanted to die, and he finally got his wish at the end, he becomes kind of like that martyr, and this guy, Leonidas, kind of fulfills his destiny.